Hi everyone. I wanted to talk just a minute about vitamin E. It is a very important antioxidant that is required in the horse's diet. The best form of vitamin E comes from grazing out in lush green pastures. Not every horse is afforded that opportunity. The nice thing about vitamin E is that they can hold their levels for about 6 months. So if your horse is just grazing during the summer, they get their vitamin E levels up, they're most likely going to be able to maintain their vitamin E level throughout the winter. Horses that aren't on fresh green grass, you can't get enough vitamin E from hay or even from feed sources. So those horses need to be supplemented with vitamin E. It's important to first check your horse's vitamin E level before supplementation because too much vitamin E can actually cause clotting problems. It can cause an impairment of bone mineralization, and it can also impair the absorption of beta carotene. So we do want to always test first our horse's blood levels of vitamin E before we start supplementing them. Supplements are not all alike. There is a natural form and a synthetic form. The natural form of vitamin E will be listed in the label of ingredients in your vitamin E product. If it just says natural vitamin E or vitamin E, it's probably a synthetic. So what you're looking for is that it says D-alpha tocopherol. I'm not sure if I pronounced that correctly, but it's D-alpha. The synthetic form is D-L-alpha. So how I remember it is that if it has an L, it was made in the lab. A friend of mine says if it has an L, it's loser form of vitamin E. The synthetic form is not very readily absorbed, and you do have to feed a large amount of it in order to get the blood levels up like you can with the naturally occurring form of vitamin E. And honestly, the cost savings you have for getting the synthetic form, you're going to end up spending just as much money in the end because it will take longer to get their vitamin E levels up, and you're just going to have to feed so much of it. Once you start your horse on vitamin E, you are going to want to retest their blood periodically and make sure that you're feeding enough to get the vitamin E levels up, but also that once they come off of it or the dosage is lowered, that it's enough to be able to keep their vitamin E where it should be. Horses that are deficient in vitamin E can have neurologic or muscular disease as a product of not getting enough vitamin E. This is something that can develop over a 12-month, 18-month period of time. A lot of times we see the horses, they're 10, 11, 12 years old, and they start having a little problem walking down a hill, or maybe they're a little funny about picking up a lead, or they just feel, maybe their walk pirouettes, they get a little kind of wobbly feeling, and we test their vitamin E and find out that they're just a little bit low. My two favorite products for vitamin E are the liquid form. I usually use Kentucky Equine Research Nano E, and then there's another one that's made called Elevate, and that one is also a liquid form. Studies are showing that the liquid form is more readily absorbed into the body, that a 5,000 IU dose will raise blood levels of vitamin E in a 24-hour period. So it does work best to start with a liquid form when you're needing to get your horse's vitamin E level up, and then once they are in a more normal range, you can slowly start transitioning to a powder. But again, make sure that it truly is a naturally occurring form of vitamin E by checking the ingredient list and making sure it is D-alpha. All right, everybody, safe riding.